It didn't record any of it. All right, team, let's try this again. So thank you for joining me about farming. I'd like to go over a few things in this video. We want to determine a farm area, determine the turnover rate in a farm area. We're going to talk about creating a Facebook neighborhood group for your farm area. I'd like to talk about using the mobile app Nextdoor with farming, talk about the consistency and how often you need to market your farm area or how often you need to communicate with your farm area. I'd like to talk about door knocking in your farm area. And then I'd also like to talk about limiting the size of your farm area to make sure that it's a manageable farm and you don't make the same mistake that I did my first year and waste your money. I wasted $36,000 my first year in farming because nobody taught me how to farm correctly. I don't want you to do that. So the first thing is to determine a farm area, and some agents will do this by picking the area that they live in. Some agents will pick an area that they would like to service. Some agents will pick an area where they think there's plenty of real estate activity going on. And while all of this is okay, if you're looking for your money to start working for you the hardest and the fastest, I would say base your farm area entirely off of the turnover rate for that area. And what I mean by that is if you drew a polygon on a map and you said, give me all of the contacts for anybody that lives within that shape, okay? So within that shape or that farm area, we need to find how many homes there are. Okay, and then we need to determine how many homes have sold, how many closed sales have sold in the past 12 months there. Okay, and we're going to take the number of homes divided by the number of sales to give us a decimal point. Okay, and we're going to take that decimal point and multiply that by 100 to turn it into a percentage. Okay, and we're looking for a percentage of 7% or higher. I personally like to look for a farm area with double-digit turnover rate, 10% or higher. Now, when I was in the field and I was farming and making these calls and circle prospecting, I would always go after, I did a lot of calling to San Carlos Park. At the time, the turnover rate fluctuated between 17 and maybe 21%. Great turnover rate, 2 times basically the minimum requirement to go after a farm area or determine a farm area, right? So we're looking for a minimum of 7% or higher, but personally, I would recommend 10% or higher. So with that being said, consistency, right? You've determined your farm area. Now we need to determine how often we're going to mail the farm area. And you also need to determine the content that's going to go out to the farm area. Okay. If it's your first time marketing this farm area and you're brand new to farming your farm area, I would recommend a minimum marketing piece every 3 to 4 weeks at minimum for your first 12 months. Okay. Statistics say that a person has to receive something a minimum of 8 times before they ever start to even notice it. Meaning that you're going to take that postcard and you're going to throw it away in the trash 8 times before you finally get that 9th one and you stop and look at it and you say, hey, look at Coldwell Banker, Bradford Bateman. He sold another house in my neighborhood. Okay. Literally, it has to be received a minimum of 8 times before it even gets noticed. So if you've started farming and you're 6 months into it, don't give up yet. It's 7, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months before you start to get noticed. So that's why I say commit to a full year of marketing at a minimum of every 3 to 4 weeks before you decide to change it up at all or decide to change your farm area or make any alterations whatsoever. Consistency is the key to success with farming. Okay. And then, you need to determine what you're going to mail. There are third-party vendors. I utilized a third-party vendor when I was farming regularly. I used Agent Mailings. Agent Mailings delivers a very impressive product, but you pay for it. At the time, I was spending over $1 for every mailing. I believe the cost now exceeds $1.50 per mailing, and that includes postage. But you're going to want to share what's going on in their market. How many homes have sold, what the list price to sales price ratios are, what inventory is available, what inventory is closed, and what inventory went pending maybe in the past 30 days. Okay. Other than that, I see some agents have success mailing recipes. If it's November, then a Thanksgiving themed card or maybe a pie recipe or something like that might be appropriate. Come July or May, maybe a barbecue recipe or something like that might be appropriate for a picnic. So not only do we want to always market with real estate information, but you want to humanize yourself and make you relatable at the same time. So, if sports are your thing, maybe you send a marketing piece out with a sports-oriented theme, okay? If you're a foodie like me, maybe you send something out that has some kind of food-related theme, again, a recipe. Maybe go in conjunction with a mom and pop restaurant here, and maybe you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Mom and Pop Restaurant, I'd like to present a marketing idea with you. Would it be possible to partner up with you so that when I mail my farm area that's right behind your restaurant here, can we maybe include a coupon to your restaurant or something like that? Okay, so not only do we want to give real estate information and make ourselves the real estate expert, but we want to make ourselves the local expert, the relatable neighbor that lives in the neighborhood, that goes out to eat at the same restaurants that we do, that shop at the same establishments that we do. People do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So the more relatable you are, the more business you should have available. Okay, Facebook group, okay? I know several agents that have had great success establishing and managing a private Facebook group, okay? Here in Cape Coral, we don't have a ton of gated communities, but we do have some very specific neighborhoods, right? And if you live in one of those specific neighborhoods, maybe Palaco Grande, right? You create a private Facebook group for Palaco Grande, or maybe you live in a gated community, Tarpon Point. You create a Facebook group for Tarpon Point or whatever community that you live in, right? And you can invite the residents to like or join your private Facebook group for the community. The residents can utilize the group. Maybe they want to share a social event. Maybe they're hosting a Super Bowl party and they want to invite people over for their Super Bowl party. Or maybe they just got a new couch and they want to sell their old couch and they want to list something on there. Or, maybe they have somebody that's looking for a rental in the neighborhood. They'll post that there. Or maybe they themselves would like to rent out their property. They'll post it there. Maybe they have a question about, the new commercial construction at the end of the street. Hey, does anybody know what's going in over here at the end of the road? Or maybe they have a question about a new restaurant that opened up just around the corner. Hey, has anybody been over here to Little Johnny's Sandwich Shack? If so, what's your review? Okay. Now since you've created this group, you are the manager of the private group and the moderator. You can control what goes on, what's posted in the group, but you also have full access to everything that's going on in the group. Now you have perfect opportunity to make yourself the real estate expert in your neighborhood. You have the perfect opportunity to Be relatable. You're going to learn a lot about your neighbors from this group and managing this group. You know, you can find out what makes some of your neighbors tick and what ticks them off. So use it to sell yourself, become the real estate expert, become the local expert too. You know, if you just ate at a great new restaurant in town, go to your group and brag all about it. What did you eat? Why did you like it? How was the service there? What was the atmosphere like? You know, if there's a new store in town and you recently stopped there, what was your experience like? You know, if there's something in town that maybe needs a little help, maybe you post that there too. Make yourself the area expert. You want to be the local expert. You want to be relatable, and you want to be the real estate expert for your neighborhood, of course. So along that too, there's a mobile app that you can download for your phone. It's called Nextdoor. Okay. Now, if you want to advertise on there as a real estate agent, they will require you to purchase some other kind of subscription, and they limit the subscriptions sold for the neighborhood area. They don't want to oversell or inundate the residents, or and there's nothing worse than, if you're in one of these groups and there's 75 other realtors to have 75 other advertisements going at the same time. Nextdoor has made note of that, and they do limit the size and the number of customers that they will allow, that they will sell solicitation services or marketing services for any one area. Hopefully that makes sense. If you do have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me anytime. But the reason why I bring up Nextdoor, Nextdoor is going to be a neighborhood group that's already been created by a third party, the app creators Nextdoor themselves. But you will learn a lot about your neighbors if you just spend a couple minutes on Nextdoor. You'll find out, if maybe there's somebody that likes to bake baked goods and then donate them to the local church, or maybe you have somebody that is in need. Maybe you find out there's an elderly resident in the neighborhood that needs help mowing his grass. Or maybe you find out that little Johnny down the street has this huge field trip that he'd like to go to, and he's trying to raise funds that he can make sure that he gets there. And he's setting up a lemonade stand on Friday afternoon. Or, maybe somebody just moved in down the street and they're looking to become acquainted with some of their neighborhoods and make friends in the area. Or, maybe somebody's trying to sell a for sale by owner on there. Or maybe somebody has an investment property and they're seeking a tenant. Or maybe somebody knows somebody that would like to move to the area. They're not ready to buy yet, but they want to know if there's any rentals available, et cetera, et cetera. It is a community forum, a place for neighbors and residents to go and post their questions and post their concerns and just talk about the neighbors and being neighbors to each other. So that being said, especially if you live in your own farm, download Nextdoor, become familiar with that program, post on there, become, the good neighbor to your neighborhood. Any questions about that, feel free to see me anytime. The other thing I wanted to talk about was door knocking and circle prospecting. Okay, if you're going to be farming an area and you're going to be mailing consistently, you also need to be calling consistently and or door knocking consistently. Okay, so some people do it a couple of different ways. You can mail, call. You can mail, knock, call. Maybe you mail, knock, mail, whatever. The point being is, for every silent form of communication, mail, or maybe every 2 silent forms of communication, postcard, then you want a live interaction, whether that be door knocking or circle prospecting. If you're door knocking, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, my name is Bradford. I'm sure you've been receiving my mailers. I just sent out this postcard this past week. That being said too, put yourself on your own mailing list so that you'll receive your own marketing pieces. When you receive them in your mailbox, wait 2 days and then go door knocking. But anyways, backing up. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I just wanted to make sure that you received my postcard in the mail this past week. Wanted to stop by, introduce myself so that, I humanize myself and that you can place a face with the name on the postcard. And I also wanted to share my business card with you, let you know that I do live in your neighborhood. I'm over here at 127 Main Street, couple doors down from you. And you can consider me your local neighborhood expert in the world of real estate. Thanks for your time. You'll consider seeing my marketing pieces show up in your mailbox. If I can ever help you, friend or neighbor in the world of real estate, reach out anytime. I'm always happy to help. Or maybe you do circle prospecting. You find a Coldwell Banker listing that recently sold within your farm area. Doesn't have to be your listing, just has to be a Coldwell Banker listing, okay? And then, maybe the listing had great stats. Maybe it sold in one day for more than asking price. Ring, ring. Yeah, hi, Mr. Smith. My name is Bradford. I'm a real estate agent here in Cape Coral, and I was just calling to let you know that another home sold in your neighborhood. We were able to get our seller over 100% of their asking price, and we were able to get a buyer under contract with them the first day that they were on market. Mr. Smith, I'm just calling to ask, do you know anybody else that we can help this year in the world of real estate? Anybody looking to buy or sell a home? No? Okay, well, I appreciate you taking the time to think about it. What about you, Mr. Smith? Any consideration of moving in the next 12 months? No, okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to think about it. Mr. Smith, you'll continue to receive my marketing pieces in the mail. If and when you do come across somebody with a real estate need, or maybe you yourself have one, please give me a call. I'm happy to help, and I appreciate your time. Thank you. Click. Or sometimes, you can throw a joke in there too. A lot of times I'd say, oh, okay, you don't know anybody in the neighborhood looking to make a move this year? Well, Mr. Smith, do you know anybody that you want to move this year? Ah, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I'd like the Batemans over there to move. They're always partying and playing loud music. Can you get them to move? And you know what, Mr. Smith? I'm going to call them right now and find out maybe if we can. I appreciate that. And, Mr. Smith, what about you? You ever think about maybe moving away from the Batemans across the street? Maybe we can get you into another neighborhood? Have conversation, insert humor, humanize yourself. It makes you relatable. Okay. And then lastly, limit the size of your farm area. I would say just starting off, 100 to 200 homes, as long as that turnover rate is there to be able to supply the inventory that you're looking to get, then start with a smaller farm area. The first farm area that I started with was over 2,000 homes, and I promise you that was an unmanageable farm for me at the time in my career. I've seen a lot of agents have great success farming condos or a condo subdivision. And the reason why is, I make the joke that a condo is the try it before you buy it and fully commit to the Florida lifestyle. A lot of people will buy a condo for 150 or 200,000, live in it for a year or two, weather a couple summers here with us to make sure that they're ready to fully commit to the Florida lifestyle before maybe they sell their condo and buy a $500,000 home or so. So that being said, limit the size of your farm area, make sure that it's something manageable that you can market at a minimum of every 3 to 4 weeks for your first year marketing your farm area. Mail call or mail call mail. Just you want to humanize yourself and you want to have some live interaction. Don't be the silent agent that you only receive the postcard from. You want to get out there, put yourself out there, humanize yourself, make yourself relatable. Maybe you do a neighbor community event, maybe you have a community room or something within your community that you can rent out. You can offer maybe a market update class, a first-time home buyer class, maybe a downsizing class. You know, anything real estate related. Maybe you offer an instructional class, and that you can host and present that class. If you don't have an HOA, or you don't live in a gated community where there's a community room available, maybe you can find a banquet hall within a restaurant, or maybe there's a banquet room or something like that at a local library within your neighborhood that's relatively close to where you live. Any questions about farming, feel free to reach out anytime. And, you know, in conclusion, that circle prospecting that we spoke of right now, the stats and the numbers that sellers are getting for their homes is definitely something to call and brag about to other residents within their neighborhood, because I'm sure not everybody is aware of how much equity they might have in their home right now, and how well things are actually selling. You know, we're in the industry, so we're well aware of it, but you know, somebody that's not might not have any idea what's going on. So it's our job to call them and educate them. And the thing with circle prospecting too is you don't have a ton of competition with, like you do with expireds and terminateds. Okay, the expireds and the terminated, some of them are getting 10 phone calls before it's 8 o'clock in the morning. If you're doing circle prospecting, I can almost guarantee that you're the only agent that's going to call them all day long. Any questions about any of this, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Otherwise, thank you very much for tuning in, and appreciate your time today. Take care.